everyone, Janette here from the Enthusiastic Gardener. It's a beautiful day again in Essex in England, although it's very windy. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to prune my hydrangea, and I've been looking forward to doing this, but I wasn't quite sure when to do it. I only got my hydrangea towards the end of last year, so I never got to see the full wonder of the hydrangea, but I've wanted one for ages. People are allowed in their roads. Lucy, do you want to come and say hello? Come and say hello. Come on. Come and say hello. Come and say hello to the people. Yes. Lucy's come to say hello today. Oh, Lottie wants to say hello as well. That's Lucy. Come on then, Lots. Come here. Come on then, I'll pick you up. You can say hello. Come on then, ready? Oh, you big girl. Oh, she's a big girl. Lottie. Lottie is twice the size of Lucy. They are sisters from the same litter, but Lucy was an actual proper twin in the same sack with another one. So she is always going to be a miniature Bichon. They're Bichon Pries. And Lottie is the most active. She's more the guard dog, but actually Lucy is the boss, funnily enough. Anyway, hydrangeas. I have a Limelight Hydrangea, which I've wanted one for ages, and I don't know why it's taken me all this time to get one. I think they're one of these sort of plants that were out of fashion for a while. I think plants do come in and out of fashion. Now they're really back in fashion and they're absolutely gorgeous. The one I've got is a Paniculata, and the reason it's called a Paniculata is the shape is a cone shape. They have a kind of a greenish tinge to them, which is where the limelight part comes from. And then further on in the autumn they get a pink tinge to them, so they're beautiful. A lot of people are confused with hydrangeas, me included. I had to Google and watch YouTube channels to know exactly what to do, just the same as everybody else. I don't claim to be an expert, I just claim to be enthusiastic. And what I try to do with my videos is, rather than a how-to ... I want to convey the message. It's more of a how I ... So I'm learning all the time. Anyway, back to hydrangeas. There are hydrangeas that bloom on old wood, and there are hydrangeas that bloom on new wood. So it can get very confusing and worrying for people not knowing which they've got and what should they do. But if you do nothing at all for 1 year, you will know which hydrangea you have. Or obviously if you know the name, then you can look it up. So when it says that it blooms on new wood, what that means is the growth it makes this year will produce the flowers. So that is what I have. A Limelight Hydrangea blooms on new wood. Even if you were to cut it right back to the ground, it would still flush up this current year and produce blooms. But if you were to cut back a hydrangea that blooms on old wood and you cut that back, you would have no blooms this year. So this is my hydrangea, and as you can see I've left the blooms on from last year, and I left them on because they are kind of winter interest, and also it protects the plant a bit as well from frost. The blooms are absolutely enormous on a Limelight Hydrangea. They have really shriveled up here so you can't see, but some of the bloom heads can get to like 20 centimetres from the bottom of the bloom to the top of the bloom, and that is just huge. They're bigger than your head even. Now what we need to do is we need to cut this back by about 1/3. You can cut them back all the way to the ground, but if you do that, then the new stems have to support all these huge blooms. But if you just take 1/3 off, then these stronger stems here, these older stems, will support the new growth and the new blooms. I'm going to go round and I'm going to cut to about this height, and you can see there's 2 there, so that means that this is going to really bush out, because we will have one coming this way and one coming this way. So that's going to really make the plant bush out. All I'm going to do is come in here, for example this one, and I'm just going to cut like that. And then I'm going to try and do the same, a similar height. We want to do it as a kind of rounded shape rather than like straight across. Let's do this one. We want to do it to 2 buds so that we've got more chance of it. And this one's actually got 3. It's in quite an awkward spot, this hydrangea. There's a good one there. And what I will probably do is, it's very near the salvia, this salvia, so I'll probably cut that salvia back a little bit. Oh, we have a little snail. Probably a little bit too close to the salvia, but anyway, we will easily sort that out. I can't wait to see this hydrangea. So I'm cutting off all the little spindly ones as well, because they're just never going to be able to support big blooms, and they divert the plant's attention. It's got enough to be doing without worrying about these. Don't know what that is, that's a weed I think. So anything that's not looking sturdy, this is quite a young plant. That whole thing there is very spindly. Get rid of that. Oops. And that is just, that whole thing there is just spindles. Let's get rid of that. You know, I've been gardening for 30 years, or should I say I've had gardens for about 37 years, but I don't claim to be an expert. I have to Google things all the time just to make sure I know what I'm doing, and I find YouTube videos are just fantastic. I love them. So many channels for gardening. My favourite is Laura from Garden Answer. She is just my favourite, and I really like Erin, who's called the Impatient Gardener. If you want to check out some channels, these are good ones. There's also, they're both American. I really like Jim Putnam. He does a channel called Hort Tube. He's brilliant. Oh gosh, there's so many. They're my favourites. Then we've got a lady called Rachel, and she has a channel in Ireland, and she's called Douentza Gardening, or Gardening at Douentza, something like that. She's really good, I like her. Then there's a lovely man in Ireland as well, John Lord, and he is just hilarious because he's just such an experienced gardener, but the way he runs around his plants, and he kicks them and he chops them, and he just shows how resilient plants are, because he just goes for it and he just makes me die. And he's got a lovely dog called Teddy. There's a lady called Alexandra in England, not too far from here. I believe she's in Kent, and she has a channel called The Middle Sized Garden. And then there's a lovely man called George who does the Small Garden channel. There's many more actually, many more than that. I've subscribed to them all and I'm always watching them. So that's the hydrangea all pruned. There's one more thing I need to do for this hydrangea, and that is to give it some fertiliser now. And I have some slow release fertiliser here. Look, Lucy's watching. She loves sunbathing. She keeps laying out on all my mulch and then she comes wandering in and she's absolutely covered in mulch. So that's one of her favourite things at the moment. Anyway, this is my slow release fertiliser that anyone will do. I think actually you are supposed to use something which is called Hollytone or Rose Tone. I don't have any of that. I obviously can't get out to a garden centre at the moment. Can do online, but I just haven't got round to it. So what you need to do, I think that's better than nothing. You have to put it around what is known as the drip line. And so you don't put it right at the centre because the roots are out here by now. Well, these ones might not be because I only just planted it, but it's to encourage the roots to come out to get the fertiliser. So imagine that this is the edge circumference of the plant. So imagine if the rain was to fall, the drip line would be down here. So a big circle around what you would imagine to be the drip line of the rain. So I'm just going to put some of that on quickly, all the way around in a circle around the plant. I'm going to move this plant, this one, because that's in the back of my border and you can't even see it. So I'm going to move that. Just put a bit down there and then I'm just going to scratch it into the surface. Ooh, tulip, sorry tulip. Just scratch it in, that will work its way in. Then I'm going to give it a water. And there we go, I have just trimmed back this salvia a little bit to give it a bit more room. So that should help. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It didn't take very long. Hopefully my limelights will bloom and I will keep you up to date, of course. I'm Janette, I am the Enthusiastic Gardener. I put videos out every Thursday and every Sunday. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and thank you so much to all those who have. Thank you. Bye.